After catching my boyfriend with another woman, I made a plan. I invited him to dinner, dressed up, and told him I had a confession. His eyes lit up, thinking I'd take him back. Instead, I smirked and said, I cheated too. And unlike you, I don't regret it. He dropped his fork and whispered, you're lying. I showed him a picture of me and another man. That night, he cried, the same way I did when I found out about him. I never thought I would be the type of person to plan revenge. I always believed in karma, that life had a way of making things right. But after what Dylan did, I realized something. Sometimes, karma needs a little push. I wasn't always this person. For 2 years, I thought I had found my person. Dylan and I met in New York City, where everything moves fast, but somehow, we slowed down for each other. At least, I thought we did. He told me he loved me. He told me I was different. He gave me a key to his apartment and said he wanted a future with me. I believed every word. Then, 2 weeks ago, I found out who he really was. It was a Friday night. I was supposed to be out of town visiting my sister, but my trip got cancelled at the last minute. I didn't tell Dylan, I wanted to surprise him. So I picked up his favorite takeout, used my key, and let myself in. The second I stepped inside, something felt wrong. The lights were dim. The living room smelled like perfume, not mine. My stomach dropped, but I moved forward. Maybe I was overthinking. Maybe I was imagining things. Then I heard them. Soft whispers. A giggle. A woman's voice. I pushed open the bedroom door, and there they were. A girl, brunette, half-naked, tangled in his sheets. Dylan, standing at the foot of the bed, looking like he had just seen a ghost. His mouth opened, but no words came out. I felt my chest tighten, my vision blur. But I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just turned around and walked out. I don't remember much from that weekend. I stayed in bed. I barely ate. I kept staring at my phone, waiting for Dylan to say something, anything. He texted me a few times, Olivia, please, let me explain. It was a mistake. I swear it didn't mean anything. Can we talk? I didn't answer. I had nothing to say. But the pain sat in my chest, heavy, like a weight I couldn't shake. It wasn't just that he cheated. It was everything. The way he looked at me, told me I was his future. The way he made me believe I was safe. It made me sick. And then, after 3 days of crying, something in me snapped. I wasn't going to sit around feeling sorry for myself. I wasn't going to let him think I was weak. If he wanted to play games, I would show him how it was really done. I texted him, I think we should talk. Dinner at Il Posto? My treat. Il Posto was our place. The one we went to for anniversaries, birthdays, and just because nights. I knew the second he saw my message, he would think I wanted to work things out. His response came fast. Are you sure? I miss you. I really want to talk. Pathetic. That night, I took my time getting ready. A black dress, the one that hugged my body just right. Red lipstick. My hair curled exactly how he liked. I wasn't doing it for him. I was doing it so I could see the moment he realized what a mistake he made. When I walked into the restaurant, Dylan was already there. He stood up, looking nervous, hopeful. His eyes moved over me like he couldn't believe I was real. You look amazing, he said. I smiled. Thanks. We ordered like nothing had happened. A bottle of Pinot Noir. Truffle pasta for me, steak for him. The usual. I let him talk. Let him pour out his apologies. I swear, Olivia, it was a mistake. I was drunk. I wasn't thinking. I don't even care about her. It's you. It's always been you. I nodded, sipping my wine. I let him believe he had a chance. Then, right as our food arrived, I put down my fork and took a slow breath. There's something I need to tell you, I said. His whole body leaned forward, desperate. This was the moment he thought I would take him back. I tilted my head and smirked. I cheated too. The blood drained from his face so fast I thought he might pass out. What? I leaned back in my chair. After I caught you, I figured, why should I be the only one suffering? So I did the same thing. Only difference is, I don't regret it. His hand tightened around his fork. You're lying. I pulled out my phone and slid it across the table. On the screen was a photo, me, in bed, tangled up with another man. His arm was around me, my lips pressed to his neck. It looked real. Because I made sure it did. Dylan's hand shook as he picked up the phone. His jaw clenched. His breathing got heavy. Who is he? I smiled. That doesn't matter. The truth? There was no him. The picture was staged. My friend Mark helped me. He took off his shirt, I snapped a photo, and that was it. But Dylan didn't need to know that. You're disgusting, he spat. I laughed. Oh, I'm disgusting? That's funny, Dylan. Really, it is. He gritted his teeth, gripping the edge of the table like he was trying to stop himself from flipping it over. And then, something I didn't expect happened. His eyes welled up. The anger in his face cracked, just slightly, and I saw something underneath it. Something real. He was hurting. Good. For the first time since I walked in on him with that girl, I felt something other than pain. Other than sadness. I felt power. I reached for my wine glass and took a sip, watching him crumble in front of me. And I wasn't done yet. Dylan didn't say anything for a long time. He just sat there, gripping his fork so tight his knuckles turned white. I expected him to yell. I expected anger, accusations, maybe even some pathetic attempt to flip the blame on me. But what I didn't expect was the way his whole body seemed to deflate. His voice was low when he finally spoke. You didn't have to do this. I raised an eyebrow. Oh? So when you did it, it was fine, but when I do it, it's a crime? He shook his head, rubbing his hands over his face. No. I mean, Jesus, Olivia. If you were this angry, if you wanted to hurt me this bad, you should have just said something. I would have taken it. I deserve it. I blinked. This wasn't how this was supposed to go. I wanted him to beg. I wanted him to lose control, to see the rage in his eyes and know that he finally understood how it felt. But now, looking at him, all I saw was regret. And I hated it. I hated that for even a second, a part of me almost believed him. So I doubled down. I reached for my phone again, scrolling through my photos as if I had more proof. More men. More moments. Didn't expect me to move on so fast, huh? I said, voice light, teasing. Guess I'm not the sad little girl you thought I was. His jaw tensed, but he nodded. Yeah. I guess not. I wanted him to break. I wanted him to hurt the way I did. And then, just when I thought I had him exactly where I wanted him, he whispered something that sent a chill through my whole body. I never slept with her. I let out a sharp laugh. Oh, you're really gonna play that card now? His eyes met mine, steady. I swear to God, Olivia. I didn't sleep with her. I kissed her. It was stupid. I was drunk, and yeah, I let it go too far. But we never stop. I put my hand up, heart pounding. I saw her in your bed, Dylan. He shook his head. She was just there. After you left, I told her to go, and she did. I didn't touch her after that. My pulse was hammering in my ears. Why should I believe you? His lips pressed together. You shouldn't. Something in his face made my stomach twist. What if he was telling the truth? No. No, he was lying. He had to be. Men like him always lie when they realize they've lost. This was just another desperate attempt to make himself the victim. Right? I swallowed hard, forcing myself to hold his gaze. It didn't matter. Whether he slept with her or not, he had betrayed me. He let another woman into the space that was supposed to be ours. He made me feel like nothing. And I wasn't about to let him flip this on me. But then, he said something that stopped me cold. If you really slept with someone else, why'd you need to fake the picture? My breath caught in my throat. He leaned forward, elbows on the table, watching me. That guy in the picture, he continued, voice eerily calm. That's Mark, isn't it? I felt my stomach drop. Mark was one of my oldest friends. Dylan had met him once, maybe twice, in passing. But still, he shouldn't have recognized him. I forced a smirk. Nice try. But Dylan didn't look convinced. His eyes stayed locked on mine, scanning my face like he was piecing together a puzzle. You didn't sleep with anyone. I kept my expression neutral. Believe what you want. He exhaled, shaking his head. I was ready to live with the fact that I hurt you. That I fucked up. But you wanted to punish me so bad you turned into someone else. That's what this is really about, isn't it? I felt something hot rise in my chest. Anger. He was supposed to be broken right now. He was supposed to be the one questioning everything, not me. But instead, he was staring at me with something almost like pity. And I wanted to wipe it off his face. I stood up so fast my chair scraped against the floor. Several people turned to look, but I didn't care. This was a mistake, I said, grabbing my purse. Dylan stood too, reaching for my wrist, but I pulled away. Olivia, wait, but I was already walking out. I needed air. I needed space. I needed to be anywhere but here. I pushed through the restaurant doors, stepping onto the busy New York sidewalk. My heart was racing, my hands shaking. I had won. I had gotten exactly what I wanted. So why did it feel like I had lost? And then, just when I thought the night was over, my phone buzzed. A message. From a number I didn't recognize. And when I opened it, my blood turned to ice. Unknown, we need to talk. About Dylan. And attached to it, was a picture of me. One I didn't remember taking. I stared at my phone, my stomach twisting into knots. We need to talk. About Dylan. And the picture. It was me, standing outside the restaurant, taken from a distance. Like someone had been watching. I spun around, scanning the street. Nothing. Just people walking by, caught up in their own lives. No one looking at me. No one suspicious. I swallowed hard and typed back. Who is this? 3 dots appeared. Then disappeared. Then nothing. I exhaled sharply and shoved my phone into my purse. I didn't have time for this. I had already spent too much energy on Dylan. I was done. I should have just gone home. Should have just let it go. But something about that message wouldn't leave me alone. What else was there to know about Dylan? The next morning, I woke up to another text from the unknown number. Meet me at Café Luna. 11 a.m. You'll want to hear this. I sat up, my heart racing. I should ignore it. I knew that. But my curiosity burned. If there was something else, something I didn't know, I needed to hear it. So at 11 a.m., I walked into Café Luna. And that's when I saw her. The girl from Dylan's bed. I froze. She was sitting at a corner table, wearing sunglasses, stirring a cup of coffee like this was normal. Like she hadn't been caught half-naked in my boyfriend's bed 2 weeks ago. She looked up, pulled off her sunglasses, and nodded toward the seat across from her. Olivia. Her voice was calm, steady. I clenched my jaw but sat down. Before you say anything, she started, I need you to know that what you saw that night wasn't what you think. I laughed. Oh? Because it looked like you were in my boyfriend's bed. Her lips pressed together. Yeah. I was. But it's not what you think. I crossed my arms. Then tell me what I should be thinking. She hesitated, looking down at her coffee, like she was choosing her words carefully. Then she met my eyes. My name is Hannah, she said. And I'm not Dylan's mistress. I'm his ex. I stared at her, my brain refusing to process the words. What? Hannah sighed. Dylan and I were together for 3 years. We broke up a year before he met you. That's impossible, I shot back. I would have known if he had an ex hanging around. She tilted her head. Would you? A cold feeling crawled up my spine. What are you saying? I asked. She leaned in. I'm saying Dylan never let me go. He kept tabs on me. Showed up at my apartment sometimes, acting like we were still together. Told me he loved me. That we'd find our way back to each other. And I believed him. My stomach churned. No, I whispered. That doesn't make sense. He never mentioned you. Not once. She gave me a sad smile. Yeah. Because he was playing both of us. I shook my head. Then why were you in his bed that night? Her jaw tightened. Because he called me. He told me he needed me. That he was confused, that he didn't know if he made the right choice. The words slammed into me like a brick wall. So when you walked in, she continued, I was waiting. He had just told me he was going to leave you. That it had always been me. I was stupid enough to believe him. I felt like I couldn't breathe. Dylan hadn't just cheated on me. He had never actually chosen me at all. I clenched my fists. And then, when I caught you, he just let me believe the worst? She nodded. Because if you hated me, you wouldn't look too closely at him. I felt sick. I had spent the last 2 weeks trying to get revenge on a man who had been manipulating me from the start. My phone buzzed again. A message from Dylan. We need to talk. Please. It's important. Hannah's eyes flicked to my phone. Let me guess. He's reaching out now that you're slipping away? I swallowed hard. Yeah. She exhaled. You need to be careful. Something about her tone made my skin crawl. I looked at her. There's something else, isn't there? She hesitated, then nodded. I don't know what Dylan told you about me, she said slowly, but after we broke up, he didn't take it well. I frowned. What do you mean? She looked away, gripping her coffee cup tight. I had to get a restraining order. The words landed like a punch to my gut. What? I breathed. She nodded. I thought he had finally left me alone. But then I heard about you. And I realized, he just replaced me. Everything inside me went cold. Dylan wasn't just a cheater. He was dangerous. I stared down at my phone, at Dylan's name on the screen. He was waiting for me to answer. But now, I didn't know if I should. If Hannah was telling the truth, then I had spent 2 years with a man who had been hiding who he really was. A man who knew how to lie, how to manipulate, how to make me believe exactly what he wanted me to. A man who might not let me go so easily. Hannah reached across the table and placed a card in front of me. If you ever feel unsafe, she said, call me. Then she stood up and walked away. I sat there, staring at my phone, my heart pounding. Dylan wanted to talk. But now I had to decide if I was willing to hear what he had to say. Or if it was time to disappear before he had the chance to pull me back in. I sat in Café Luna for a long time after Hannah left, staring at Dylan's text. We need to talk. Please. It's important. He knew. He knew I was slipping away. Knew that something had changed. A week ago, I would have gone running to him. But now, all I felt was anger. Not just for what he did, but for how easily I had fallen for it. I needed to see him one last time. Not for closure. Not for answers. I wanted to look him in the eyes and watch him squirm. So I texted back. Fine. My place. 7 p.m. By the time the clock hit 7, I was ready. I wasn't dressed up this time. No makeup, no perfect outfit. Just me. Because I wanted him to see what was left after everything he had done. When the doorbell rang, my heart pounded. I took a deep breath and opened it. Dylan stood there, looking rough. His hair was messy, his eyes bloodshot like he hadn't slept. He gave me a weak smile, like he thought that would fix things. Hey. I stepped aside. Come in. He hesitated, like he knew this wasn't going to go the way he wanted. Then he walked inside. I didn't offer him a seat. What do you want, Dylan? I asked, crossing my arms. He turned to face me, swallowing hard. I need you to know that I'm sorry. I messed up, Olivia. I never meant to hurt you. I tilted my head. Which part? The cheating? The lying? Or the fact that you made me believe I was the only one? His face paled. What? I took a step closer. Hannah says hi. The way his entire body stiffened told me everything. She told me everything, I continued. How you kept showing up at her place. How you told her you still loved her. How you let me think she was some random girl when really, she was just another person you used. His jaw clenched. It's not like that. I laughed, sharp and cold. Then explain it to me, Dylan. Make me understand why you did it. He ran a hand through his hair. I don't know, okay? When I met you, I was trying to move on. But I never really let go of her. And then you were different. You made me feel something new. And I wanted that. I shook my head. You didn't want me. You wanted a distraction. A backup plan. His silence was all the confirmation I needed. I took a shaky breath, forcing myself to stay steady. Did you ever love me? His eyes flickered with something, guilt, maybe. Yes. I studied him. Then why didn't you choose me? His throat bobbed. Because I didn't know how. Something inside me snapped. I grabbed my phone and pulled up the picture of me and Mark, shoving it into his face. You know what, Dylan? You weren't the only one confused. I was too. And maybe that's why this happened. His eyes locked on the screen, and for a second, I thought he was going to cry. Then he did something I didn't expect. He laughed. It wasn't a happy laugh. It was bitter, almost amused. You still think this is about revenge, don't you? He said, shaking his head. You think hurting me is going to make this better? I stiffened. He looked up at me, his expression unreadable. The truth is, Olivia, you could have actually slept with someone, and I still wouldn't feel what you felt when you walked in on me. You know why? I didn't answer. He leaned in slightly. Because you still cared. You wanted me to feel the same pain, the same betrayal. But I never cared that much. Not the way you did. I felt like I had been punched in the stomach. He wasn't mad. He wasn't broken. He was done. And that's when I realized, Dylan never planned to fight for me. He just wanted to be the one to walk away first. I didn't cry when he left. I didn't text him. I didn't spend the night staring at my phone, waiting for an apology that wasn't coming. Instead, I sat in silence, feeling the weight of everything settle in my chest. He was right. I had wanted him to hurt. I wanted him to feel what I felt. But that's the thing about people like Dylan, he never really felt anything at all. I was the one who had spent weeks obsessing, plotting, making sure he knew what he had lost. But all I had done was give him more power. And now? Now, I had to take it back. The next morning, I blocked his number. I deleted the pictures. And when Hannah texted me to check in, I told her the truth. I'm done. I don't care anymore. Because that was the real victory. Not revenge. Not some dramatic moment where he finally saw my worth. The victory was letting go. And as I walked outside, breathing in the cool morning air, I realized something. For the first time in a long time, I was free.